The NATO summit wrapped up this week with President Biden and other allies assuring support for Ukraine. But there's still no timetable for Ukrainian membership into the alliance. NATO Chief Jens Stoltenberg saying it can join when, quote, conditions are met. Joining me now is Eurasia Group and G0 Media founder and president Ian Bremmer. Ian, thanks so much for coming on the show. I want to start with this point about Ukraine joining NATO. So obviously there are security benefits for the country. As a Westerner, I see the appeal. But from Putin's perspective, doesn't it incentivize him to seize even more of the country?
I don't know. Putin, of course, said that if Sweden and Finland joined NATO, that there would be hell to pay. Finland's already joined, several hundred miles of additional direct border of NATO with Russia. Putin didn't do anything. Now Sweden's joining. Putin's not doing anything. So he's not enormously credible in terms of these illegal threats that he continues to make. But Ukraine is not getting a date. It's not getting a timetable to join NATO, in part because they're still fighting an active war, in part because there isn't unanimity in NATO, and in part because we've got a U.S. election coming in 2024 with at least one of the leading candidates right now that would actively rip that up. So for all of those reasons, this meeting was much more about what kind of ongoing multilateral commitments the Ukrainians can continue to get from the United States and its NATO allies, then forging a path to NATO membership.
And that raises an interesting question, because I feel as if in the U.S., some people are worried, gosh, are the Europeans really going to have the backbone to stick with this country, especially if it's a cold winter? And then meanwhile, the Europeans are looking at the U.S. and saying, wait, there's some factions in the U.S. that don't want to support Ukraine. What do you think? How strong is that true allegiance to Ukraine in the West?
We're probably seeing peak NATO support for Ukraine right now. I think it's going to be harder in the coming 12 months, harder for the Europeans because they no longer going to have the same level of fiscal flexibility to expand their budgets and their indebtedness to pay for the Ukrainians. So the trade-off for what they want to spend at home and what they're providing to Ukraine is going to become more politicized and more of a priority. In the United States, Jack, I'm sure you've seen that over the last several months, U.S. support for Ukraine in terms of how much military and how much spending should happen has been decreasing across the board. Republicans, Democrats, and independents, even though Democrats have a higher baseline. And I think that's going to continue, especially if this Ukrainian counteroffensive continues to underperform compared to expectations. So I think that you're still going to see plenty of willingness to ensure that Ukraine can defend itself. But that's very different from Ukraine's ability to retake all their land. That's very different from Ukraine being able to reconstruct itself so it becomes a new Poland. I fear that that is becoming a much taller ask as we head into our election cycle.
It's interesting. I do need to pivot to China because it is a multipolar world. President Xi obviously watching everything that happens in Russia and Ukraine, and just met with both Anthony Blinken and Janet Yellen. What's your biggest takeaway from China right now?
Biggest takeaway is that the relationship continues to have no trust between the United States and China. You mentioned Yellen and Blinken meeting, but there are no direct high-level meetings at all between the U.S. and China on the defense and security side, while tensions around Taiwan, the South China Sea, surveillance, cyber, all continue to grow. And, these are the two most powerful countries in the world, so all of us should be concerned about that. Having said that, I do believe that Biden and Xi will meet on the sidelines of the APEC summit in San Francisco in the fall. And I think that both of those leaders want a floor on the relationship. They know that there's a lot of economic interdependence, and they want to ensure that doesn't break. That's why they talk about de-risking in the U.S. and not decoupling. So the direction of travel in the relationship is poor, but so far the floor in the relationship continues to be holding up relatively well.
Is there one thing you would recommend to the U.S. government to do right now, both to make sure we're safe in any challenges with China, but also to try to keep that relationship as unbad as possible, as good as possible?
I think it should be focused on competing effectively without unnecessarily containing the Chinese. So I love the CHIPS Act, the fact that the United States is finally spending a lot of money on building semiconductor capacity and education and infrastructure in the United States and with its allies, like the Netherlands, like the South Koreans, like the Japanese. I think that's well overdue, and it is supported in a strong bipartisan fashion by Republicans and Democrats. I don't think that export controls and investment reviews on a broad number of technologies for the Chinese, I mean, that undermines the U.S.-driven free market, and it makes the Chinese feel like the Americans are trying to contain them. It's also not clear that the Americans will win that battle in 5 or 10 years' time. So I'd focus much more on American upside, more carrot for Americans, less stick. The stick should be used only when it's necessary, and I fear that we get it out a little more than we need to, Jeff.
That certainly sounds like a good logic. Ian, thank you so much for your insights. So much to talk about here. We'll see you soon.